Yeah, I think the best advice I was ever getting, obviously be confident, you know what you know, but the biggest thing is be authentic. You are who you are, and in an interviewee, and this was told to me when I was younger, it's like they can see that when you don't feel comfortable, and if you're sitting there and you're kind of nervous. And I mean, you can't have it in your head. You have to be who you are and be confident in yourself and really be authentic and talk from who you are as a person.
I would say be honest. When they ask you a question, if you don't know the answer, you don't know. I mean, don't try to lie to them. They will know. They can tell based upon your answer and how you answer it. So just be honest with them and be confident in what you know. When you leave here, you have all the skills you need for what you're going to do. So let that show through. Make sure that they understand it. That you do know what you're doing. But be honest with your answers.
I'm just going to give a quick example of what I meant. We had a power plant. We had guys come in for an operator position. And everybody's dressed up and they're very stiff. And one guy came in like jeans and a cowboy boots and a t-shirt. And, your first look is like, whoa, this guy's here for a job interview. But you know what? It was who he was. And, he was comfortable talking and he knew exactly what he wanted to tell us. And, that was the guy we hired because it didn't matter what he looked like. He was authentic and that was who he was as a person. I'm not saying you should go looking like. But the point is, be comfortable with who you are and keep your confidence high because you can succeed. And, you've been here and you're doing well.
I would say, and this doesn't go back to basketball, but for me it probably does, is to be coachable. And you don't have to be an athlete to be coachable, but like Lindsay said, know what you know and be confident and be authentic, be yourself. But also know that there are things that you don't know, and if you can embrace that you can take on new knowledge and new challenges. For me, when I've hired people, that's what I'm looking for. It's great to have confidence, that somebody knows what they know and that they're being themselves. But if they say, I know everything, you can't teach me anything, then that's not a good fit for me.
How do you guys have your networking base? You don't really know how to set it up, and everybody has really good connection with everybody, but how do you individually set that up in your own way?
So the question was, how did we set up our network base coming out of school? I graduated in 2000. I don't think Facebook existed. It might have. I don't think it did it? I don't know. I got it like 6 years ago. My friend signed me up because she's like, I can't believe you're not on this. Now I can't put it down. But I know. I'm not that old. So networking for me was difficult. It actually meant physically meeting people. And I wish I had done a better job, and that kind of goes to my earlier point of going out and getting those internships and challenging myself and taking on jobs that I wasn't told that I had to do. I wish I'd met more people. Now it's easier for me to network. So personally for me, networking is just, it's all online, but that's just an initial step. I mean, the best networking is to physically meet people. When you shake somebody's hand and they see you and hear your voice. I do go to the alumni meetings down in Portland as much as I can. There's not a lot of other scientists there, but to me that doesn't matter. It's all about network. I don't know if you guys have a...
I would say the same thing. If you do a co-op or an internship or cadetshipping or whatever, work hard and make a good impression. That helps. Learn the people that you're working with. As an example, when I was a cadet, I worked for MSC. When I graduated, when MSC came on campus, I did not interview with them. My chief remembered me, and he asked one of the last interviews if I was going to interview with them. Oh, he didn't come up and interview. He told the interviewer to find out if I was going to be there and to interview. Make a good impression with the people that you do work with. That goes a long way. And then the Alumni Association is very, very good. Pretty much anywhere you go, you're going to find somebody from the academy or know somebody from the academy, and that goes a long way with being able to continue your network.
I didn't take advantage of my time off and do that little jobs here and there, and I probably should have, and that would have helped in the initial networking. I graduated and took the job immediately, and it's part of the union, and that's a fantastic source. You never know who you're going to meet, even though the person sitting next to you is sailing as a third mate. He actually might own his own business and consult and looking for jobs for consult agency. The maritime associations, including the alumni, they're fantastic. Just go around, make little business cards, even if it's just your name and email, and toss them out, and they'll call. And that's always a useful source.
Your network starts here, you know, your professors and your fellow students. When you co-op, you meet people. I wasn't good. I graduated 12 years ago, and I think I've been back once. So I wasn't good at keeping in touch with some of the people here, which I wish I had been. But I learned that quickly. So as I've changed jobs and met new people, I mean, it's very important not just to connect with them like on LinkedIn or Facebook, but to actually reach out to them, you know, even if it's only once or twice a year, you know, hey, what are you doing now? How are you? You know, any little thing. Because you never know when, you know, that contact and that network is going to become important to you.
I guess this is for you since you're on cruise now. One of my professors always says, "Where's cargo? There's cargo that can come back." You have no idea. Have you seen any major challenges or difficulties you have working on cruise now versus
They don't listen. He is very correct. Cargo that can talk back can be quite challenging. You can never do anything right, so you just do your best. No matter what happens every single week, I can have a perfect week, and I will have more complaints against the department than we should. And it's all because somebody's light bulb didn't work, or you know, their door lock didn't work right. So for me, I don't take it personally. We do what we can do. We do the best we can. We take care of the issues as they go, and then unless it's a major issue that completely ruined their cruise, I can't take anything personally. So as far as that goes, I have very thick skin when it comes to anybody complaining about how our job performance is, because they do talk back, and they tell you if they think something's wrong, and everybody has an opinion on how it works. You have no idea how many people on the ship are engineers. I'd say half of them will tell you that they're an engineer. And I've had them find me and tell me, I'm an engineer and this doesn't work. Well, what's going on? And then they can't tell you. So you know what to do, and I just let things roll off my back a lot.
So, in the science field, getting a spot for an internship or right out of college jobs is pretty competitive. What kind of things do you think we could do to set us ahead from having for biology and science?
So the question was advice on how to get an internship in the science field coming right out. So at IDEX, and I'll talk about IDEX because IDEX is the first company I've worked for that actually has internships. I had temporary employees before that were not paid and they were just college students. It was a little less formal, so I'm going to take my IDEX experience. We have about 25 openings every summer, and we get about 500 applicants. And these are kids that are going into medical research, engineering, a whole host of things. I will tell you, to this woman's point, networking helps. And I'm not saying just name drop, but if you know somebody, not that you just know them electronically, but if you know somebody and you talk to them and say, hey, I'm looking for this internship, can I use your name, you know, as a catapult? And that doesn't mean they have to work at that company either. But if you can show that you've got that ability to kind of network and say, hey, I'm honestly, I'm this important, you know, and somebody else thinks that I'm this good at what I do, that's definitely helpful. And that starts here. To Kate's point, is that just start talking to your professors and see what they can do to help. And then who do they know from alumni? I still know a lot of my professors. I don't know if coming into an ocean studies degree, I ever would have thought that I would be working at a company that manufactures diagnostic testing kits for cats and dogs. Would not have said, yes, I'll be doing that. You know what I mean? But you never know where your career is going to take you, and it doesn't mean your first step's going to be your only step. So I would reach out to your professors first and see who they know.
And I think the second part of the question, what can our graduates or what can the marine science, marine biology students do to be more competitive for those? Are there skills? Are there other things they need?
I hate to keep saying it, but it's your summertime, honestly. And don't wait till the end of, you know, April or May to start looking for these things. We fill our internship positions in January to start in May. So, I mean, they're very, very competitive. Just start, you gotta work it like it's your next job. We pay very well, so those kids are pretty happy. But that's all I can really say is don't wait till the last minute. Start working that network and get ahead of it so that you can get those positions. And I think marketing Maine Maritime is always a challenge. You're gonna face that. What I found in the science field, you're gonna face that anywhere. So the more of these experiences you can get and get on your resume before you actually get your degree and have to go out into the real world is just gonna help you a little bit more.
It's kind of ties into what's going on about this, but as a cruise ship, you always kind of like parts about working as a cruise ship, you get to travel all over the place. And one of the challenges is, you know, dealing with live cargo. Is there any other challenge that goes into working with cruise line and working with cruise ships, like marine and cargo, anything?
Overall challenges on the cruise ship, not just the cargo. Cargo is probably the biggest one. And then the rest of it's all internal for us. It's not anything company-wise that they do most of the time. It's the way the ship, and not the marine side, not the deck engine side. Most of it is the way the hotel side operates their side. We do a lot of, we have high turnover quite often. So with it being the only American flag cruise ship, you have to be basically U.S. citizen. You're trying to find people that want to work on a cruise ship. Everybody thinks it's a glamorous life. Well, you work long hours, and you may work in less than ideal conditions, and you 90% of the time probably work for a manager who yesterday was working next to you, you know, washing dishes or in the galley or waiting tables with you. Yesterday they were right next to you, today they're your manager. They have no idea what they're doing. And the management side of it for the hotel for us is the hardest side. As far as the deck and engine side, the ship is pretty solid. They know, we all know what we're doing. The management's been there for a while, so we all are accustomed to cruise ship life. That's the other challenge. Life on a cruise ship is very, very different than life on a commercial ship. With 900 employees on board, it is a small city. It is a floating city from place to place. We are in port every single day. We're in Hawaii, so people come out expecting it to be a cruise. They expect to be able to go on vacation when you come out. And so the biggest challenge for us is to make sure that the passengers are happy. And sometimes that can be difficult. But as long as we do what we can do, the hotel is after that. Our biggest challenge is the hotel side. If you come out, you know, we're going to work for a cruise line though. There are many other cruise lines to work for, obviously. But, and I can't attest to any of the other ships. A lot of them are for at least the engine side, are stubborn. Most of them are international crews. If you go to work for Carnival, you're going to have an Italian crew. If you go to work for Celebrity, you're going to have a Greek crew. That's where they get most of their officers. And they aren't always as accommodating to female officers as the American fleet is. So it can be a challenge to break in, especially in the engineering side. So just, you know, if you're gonna pursue that with some of the international ships, you just have to be very persistent. You have to know what you know and just be confident in what you know.
I got in a little bit late, so I apologize for being repetitive here. So can you talk to everybody here about, you guys were kind of trendsetters, the first really big female group of graduates that came through Maine Maritime. Can you talk about what that was like and what that means to you, even more importantly? And you guys have had a chance to recognize and see some of the changes that have occurred over the last 12 years since you graduated, 14 years for some of you. Can you talk a little bit about what that means to you, to see the progress of Maine Maritime Academy since you've come back and had a chance to see things a little bit differently now?
Okay, I think everybody heard that question. I wasn't a very good alumni for the first couple of years after I left. I was like, I'm getting out of here. I'm getting out of the state and I'm just going to go work. And I kind of forgot about Maine Maritime for a couple of years. I don't really know why that is. That might have been, had I gone to any school, I might have done that. But something changed for me, and when I came back on campus and I started to see the changes, and I started to see, and a lot of this does go back to basketball, and we had a huge legacy with basketball, and you're continuing it, obviously. But to see our banners up and our jerseys in the Hall of Fame room, for me personally, that makes me feel really, really proud. I mean, even above what I'm doing with my career, because again, my career is going to always change, it's going to be very fluid. But me as a person, I know who I am, and that when I come back and I see little pieces of me around campus, that really feels like I've left a little bit of a legacy. And to me, when I came here, I wasn't anybody special, but some girl who wanted to study tidal pools and play basketball. And it's really fantastic to come back and have my daughter go on the gym floor and, you know, pull down my jersey. It's incredible. Good question.
That's what she was like on the basketball court too, always pauses like that.
Ouch. I wasn't a legacy like Vanessa, obviously. No, I mean, it's different. I haven't come back in 12 years, like I said. I'm pretty bad. But, you know, I had 3 great years here. I transferred in from another school. I wasn't even going to play basketball. I think I started a week after the season started, right? And Deidre was nice enough to take me in, even though I changed my mind. But you know, I mean, it was different for us. I think Craig's trying to make a little bit of a point here, that it was different for us when we came in. We went to basketball games in 14 passenger vans with 10 people. We were crammed in, and you know, there weren't as many of us. So coming back and seeing some of the changes, you know, what they've done to the locker rooms and fitness facilities, and just all the pictures as you walk around of the student athletes and things, that's huge. I mean, it means a lot, and you should be proud, because they've really taken the time to honor you and, you know, put you out there, that you're doing a great job here, and, you know, we're proud of you. We see that. That's awesome. We didn't really have that. I mean, we were just here playing basketball. That was it, you know, and the main point was to go to school. You know, we were here to go to school, and playing basketball was extra. And we played because we liked it. There were 7 of us, and we had a great time, right? But you guys have carried the programs for the sports farther than we could have ever dreamed of, I think.
question.
In your first job or on your first shift, what was the biggest challenge that you encountered and how did you deal with that?
Think back, really far.
I mean, I think my biggest challenge was I upped and moved out of Maine by myself, and I started in Ohio at a power plant that Duke Energy was building, and I knew nobody. That's a challenge, and that's putting you outside of your comfort zone when you're in a school like this that's a pretty small community and you know your professors and you know a lot of the students here. Packing up in a U-Haul and starting a new job and finding a new place to live all at once, that's a challenge, but you know, you can do it. I had a great time.
The first challenge, like I said, I've always worked with the Navy on naval ships. And you get the basics here, but then to get on the ship, you're in charge of chemical, biological, radiological equipment, and I had no clue. They had a lot more equipment on board than what we were exposed to here, and I had to train and I had to inventory and test and keep the equipment up. So I found myself spending a lot of my time just reviewing manuals and talking to the chief engineer, the first engineer, and chief mate, trying to figure out what the equipment is and how to use it and how to properly use it and train. So that's a big thing is taking the extra time to know the equipment. And I found that built my confidence up. I could easily train other people on that, and in the long run, it makes my job easier.
I realized how much I didn't know. And I knew coming out that I didn't know everything. But there were challenges with, like she said, not knowing the equipment and having new equipment and just being able to learn as you go. You encounter new things and being able to work on it as you go. It's nothing that the academy could have done any different. It was just the way things were, and things were different. It was a newer ship. It was brand new technology. The ship had only been delivered for about 2 years, if that long. So it was a lot of, okay, this is what's going on. I have no idea, getting the book out, and just being able to read tech manuals. And that's what I did a lot.
The biggest challenge for me for my first job, it was in a chemistry lab, but they did a wide range of different types of analyses. For me was the lack of experience I had with specific types of equipment. So even though we're in very different fields, it's very much the same. I was really happy when I've been back over the past couple years and I went down to the wet lab, and like there's so much more equipment down there than there was available to me when I was here in '96 to 2000. That's really exciting to see. I think that gap is kind of closed. But again, that goes back to my point. Had I really taken some time during my time off and got some experiences, I might have been able to been exposed to those items. So a lot of it's just technology. It's not a bad thing if you can learn it quickly, which I think most of us we've proven that we can. But that's been the biggest challenge, is really the technology gap.
I think we may be done. Thank you all very much. Liz?
One of the things we also want is offer the opportunity for you to start your networking now and go on and get to talk with our panelists. But first, we have something to say today.
So thanks so much for all of you that came today. We really appreciate it, and we hope that every year that group will get bigger. This group will get bigger, and we'll definitely have representatives from all majors up here. We really appreciate all of you coming, and certainly appreciate our panelists. And so we brought you all a little something, and so there's little size things on there, so if it doesn't work out, just let me know. We can fix that. So just to kind of wrap up, again, I want to thank all the young ladies that came to visit us today. I had certainly had personal relationships with 3 of them since I coached them. They've all been very humble today in talking about some of their accomplishments, so they have played much of the things that they did while they were here and that they've done since they've been away down a little bit. So if you got to know them a little more, they'd be a little more forthcoming and less humble. So, you know, we'll hang around here for a few minutes if you guys want to come up and introduce yourselves, say hi, drop some cards, you know, or get some cards or anything like that. But thanks again so much for coming. We appreciate it.